With the recent news of Russell Wilson being benched and him most likely playing his last game as a Bronco, the trade that sent him to Denver already looks like an absolute disaster, even though it hasn't even been 2 years since that trade took place. In this video, we will be talking about everything the Broncos gave up in this trade and why it ultimately didn't work out. Make sure to watch till the end to see how horrible this trade turned out for Denver, and without further ado, let's begin. Now, let's start by talking about the trade. Denver received Russell Wilson and a 2022 fourth round pick, while Seattle got Noah Fant, Drew Lock, Shelby Harris, a first, second, and fifth round pick in 2022, as well as a first and second in 2023. When it first happened, it was seen as a good trade for both teams. Denver finally gets their starting QB in Wilson, while Seattle receives some much needed draft picks that can help them jumpstart their rebuild. But boy, that trade went really wrong really fast for Denver. The 2022 picks that Denver gave up ended up being picks 9, 40, and 145, which Seattle traded to Kansas for picks 158 and 233. With those picks, they selected Charles Cross, Boye Mafe, Tariq Smith, and Derek Young. Young has no receptions this season, and Smith is on the Cardinals, but Mafe and Cross have been really good Seahawks so far, especially Mafe, who currently leads the team in sacks with 9. So far, so good for the Seahawks. Now, let's talk about Russ in his first season with the Broncos. Denver finished with a 5-12 record, and Russ threw for 3,500 yards, 16 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions. That is most certainly not what Denver expected when they acquired him. Also remember, Seattle has Denver's first and second round pick that year. Those picks ended up being number 37 and number 5. With those picks, Seattle selected Devin Witherspoon and Derek Hall. Both have been extremely effective for the Seahawks this season and are key contributors to this team. Maybe Russ and the Broncos can bounce back and have a good season, right? Well, that is correct, but only for one person. Wilson had a substantial improvement from last season. In 15 games, he passed for 3,000 yards, 26 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions, a much better stat line when compared to last year. Unfortunately for him, it still wasn't enough. Denver currently sits at a 7-8 record, and with their most recent loss to the Patriots, they are basically eliminated from the playoffs yet again. Head coach Sean Payton has since benched Russell Wilson, and his career as a Bronco is most likely over. Denver took a bet when acquiring Wilson from Seattle, and it failed miserably. They ended up trading a serviceable tight end, a backup QB, 2 top 40 picks, and 2 top 10 picks for 2 seasons of Russell Wilson, in which they had no regular season or postseason success. All in all, that trade was a complete fleecing by Seattle and a disaster for the Broncos. Now, let's talk about why it went wrong. The first season is fairly obvious. Russ sucked. He was awful, and it didn't help that the team around him wasn't good either. This season, however, it was different. Wilson was awesome. He was statistically better than Patrick Mahomes this season. The problem is his offense was useless. The best receiver on that team is Jerry Jeudy. Even with that horrible offense, however, Wilson still found a way to drag that team through the regular season. However, the exact second it was evident this season is a bust, the management completely turned on him by benching him, even though he has been the best player on the team this season. If I was Russ, I would be happy that there is a chance you might get released. This team clearly doesn't care about you or care enough to give you offensive weapons to work with. A change of scenery is needed, and hopefully it will be to a team where you can finally get back into the playoffs. So that does it for this video. If you've made it this far and you like what you see, please make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and turn on notifications so you know whenever I upload. I appreciate you all taking time out of your day to watch my videos. Have a happy new year, and I will see you all again very soon.